All right, welcome ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be dividing decimals. So I can divide decimals using a standard algorithm. I can divide decimals using a standard algorithm. So that just means the rule. So instead of using a model, we're just going to use the rule. And here's some examples of some standard algorithms. Notice that you move the decimal, so we'll be talking about that. So standard algorithm just means the rule. All right, let's do some division. So I'm going to just start with whole numbers that end up with decimals, just to remind us of long division. And I know long division is not some of your favorites. You still cannot use a calculator. So remember, this is the dividend. It goes on the inside. It's what we're dividing into. And 12 is a divisor. It goes on the outside. And remember that the decimal point is after the number because it is a whole number. So I'm just going to carry this up right away. So 12 doesn't go into 10 at all. So I go to the next one, 109. Well, I know that 12 goes into 120 10 times. So I'm going to guess 9. So I always, off to the side, write out the multiplication. I double check myself. I don't try to do it in my head. 9 times 2 is 18. I'm going to carry the 1. 9 times 9 is 9 plus 1 is 108. So I'm going to subtract that to get 1. Now we always have to remember to the very next number we're going to bring down. So now 12 goes into 18 just one time. So I'm going to 1 times 12 is 12. I'm going to subtract. 12 doesn't go into 6 evenly, so I know that I did that. It doesn't go into 12 once, so I know I did that correctly. I'm going to put a 0, and because anytime we don't have a number, remember you're going to put a 0, you're going to bring it down. 12 goes into 60, and I know this off of the top of my head, but if you don't, off to the side, do the work, make your guess. Now, I know that I'm trying to find a number that multiplied by 2 equals 0. So I'm going to try 5. And that works out. So I know this is going to be 5. And then I have no remainder. So 1098 divided by 12 is 91.5. All right, the next one. Alright, so I want to remind you again that what we're dividing into, the dividend, goes on the inside. Dividend in 31218. And what we're dividing by, or the divisor, goes on the outside. So what I would like you to do is pause this video and try this long division. Be an engaged learner. Don't just watch it, try it on your own as a formative for yourself. Okay, so pause the video, try it on your own. All right, hopefully you actually did the problem, check your work, but more importantly, if you didn't get the same thing I did, which was 236.5, please go back and check. So I found that 2 times 132, or 132 went into 312 2 times. I subtracted. I found that it went into 481. Now remember, anytime you subtract, then you bring the very next number down. So 481, I found that one in 132 went into 481 3 times. I multiplied, I got that. I subtracted, and I got 85 left. So then I had my 8, I brought it down, and then over here I had to make a guess. It wasn't as easy for me to see, so don't feel bad if you actually have to write a multiplication problem out here to double check yourself. So I found, actually I tried 7 first and it was too much, so I went down to 6, and I did the multiplication, and I subtracted, and then I was out of numbers, and so I had to add a 0 and bring that down, and I found 132 went in exactly 5 times. So my answer is 236.5. So I'm not actually going to do this whole one with you. I just want you to remember that first the dividend goes in the dividend in. 835, there's my decimal, and the divisor goes on the out. So what we're dividing by goes on the out. Now, it's really difficult to divide by decimal. So what will help us is to clear our decimals. And we clear our decimals, and sometimes it doesn't get explained why or how, but we usually talk about just moving the decimal over. But what we have to do to clear this is multiply by 100. So if we multiply by 100, that moves the decimal over 2 places. So if we multiply everything by 100, it moves this over 2 places. But if we move this over 2 places, then we also have to multiply this by 100, which also moves this over 2 places. So a common mistake I see is moving the decimal here to get rid of it, but the only one you really have to get rid of is in the divisor, because now we can take our new decimal point and carry it up and then try to figure out how many times 1,245 goes into, let's see here, 97,483 and 5/10. So that's how we do the clearing of the decimals. What we're really doing is multiplying by a power of 10. Alright, so we're trying to get in the habit of estimating to justify. So if Daryl spent $4.68 on a pound and he spent a total of 14, how many pounds did he get? Well, this is about 5, this is about 15, so I would say, and because we're rounding up here and we're rounding up here, if I use 5 and 15, I come up with 3, so I know it has to be less than, sorry, I used the wrong symbol, less than 3 because I rounded up in both cases. So let's see what we come up with. He spent this much on each pound, and he spent a total of this amount. So this is what I'm dividing. I'm trying to figure out how much does $4.68 go into $14.04. So the first thing we're going to do is clear our decimal by multiplying both by 100. So we're not actually showing we're multiplying by 100, we're just changing the decimal. Now I'm trying to figure out how much does 468 go into 1,404. So 468. So here's my new decimal point. 400 times 3 is 1,200. This is 1,400. So I'm going to try that. 468 times 4. 8 times 4 is 2. Carry the 3. It was 32. 24, 27. Carry the 2. 16, 17, 18. Way over. So now I know that it is probably going to be 3 times. So 4.68 times 3, 24, carry the 2, that's 3 times 6 is 18 plus 2. And again, I'm talking through this for those of you that are still not comfortable with this long division. So then I can, 4 times 3 is 12 plus 2. It is exactly 1404. So 3 times, and that was our estimate. So how many pounds? And remember, with application, you also always have to have a label, 3 pounds. All right. Next, I would like you to try this one on your own. See if you can set up the problem. Be an active learner. Remember, this is all about taking ownership. You're not going to be able to do it on an assessment if you can't do it here. So take ownership, pause the video, try it on your own, and then come back and check your work. All right, how'd you do? So what I found is, first I had to move my decimal because I wanted to clear my decimal. So if I moved it 2 places, zoom, zoom, I have to move it 2 places here, zoom, zoom. And then the first guess I made was 6, I'll admit. I thought if it's 1, it's not going to go into 8 times, so I guessed 6. And it was, I think, too low, so then I tried 7. 7 times 6 is 42. And then I did 7 times 2 is 14, plus 4 is 8. So then I have to carry the 1 because it's really 18. So here's my 1. And then I have 7 times 1 is 7, plus 1 is 8. So in this case, it worked out perfectly to be 7. So how many packs? You could buy 7 packs. Always include that label. Alright, last problem. I want you to do this entirely on your own and then come back and check. This is a check to see if you're ready to go on to the assignment. If you do not get this one correct, then you need to come to me and ask questions and talk to me about what's going on and what you're not understanding. I'm trusting you to do this. Alright, this is what I got. And again, I first started with moving my decimal over 1, so I had to move it over 1 here. And then I just did the long division. How many times does 84 go into 132? Multiply, subtract. How many times is, oh, and then bring the next number down. How many times does 84 go into 487? Multiply and subtract. Here's my decimal, so I carried my decimal up and I brought my next number down. How many times does 84 go into 672? It was 8. So, will there be any wax left over? If I did the problem correct, no. And he can make, oh, so yes, there will be 8/10 left over. So he can make 15 full candles. So your answer is 15 full candles with 0.8 left over. Which is kind of ironic because my husband, who's not named Jared, was just making candles for me this past weekend. Alright, there you go. Hopefully that will help you with your assignment. It's all about setting up the problem and then doing the division. Let me know if I can help. We out.